First of all, let me say that in a way, if we believe that PIRA is the consequence of these two pathological underpinnings that I mentioned, it's fair to say that, at least for atrophy, we have a number of drugs that seem to work. Many recent trials, particularly those using high-efficacy therapies, have shown that they are able to suppress the neurodegenerative process, i.e. atrophy development, in comparison to placebo or other drugs, the alternative therapies in the clinical trials. This information is available, as this is also obviously a new marker, on the effect of new drugs on slowly expanding lesion, but there's also already some information with regards to positive effects with Ocrelizumab in the European trial or Budapest in the phase 2 trial. So what happens when we look specifically at the PIRA outcome? Because looking at the PIRA outcome is different from looking at the confirmed disability progression outcome, because the confirmed disability progression outcome is made by progression independent of relapses and relapse-associated worsening. So what we see is that there are some drugs that are able to decrease the confirmed disability progression, but mostly by decreasing the amount of relapse-associated worsening, so that the impact on this PIRA is minor, very minor, as compared to the impact on relapse-associated worsening. This is as results of, we can conclude as a result of data coming from clinical trials. But one thing that is important here to emphasize is that admittedly most of these trials were done not using PIRA as a primary outcome. So PIRA was not even in many cases a secondary outcome. It was just a reanalysis after the main results appeared. So we need to be careful in saying, okay, there's no impact at all of the drugs that have been tried against an outcome of PIRA. With regards to real-world evidence, observational studies, evidence is always weaker. The different studies that are available below, not in excess of 10, say 6, 7, they all are using different interventions. Some are not using negative comparators, so non-treated patients. So it's really difficult, different definitions of PIRA, and the conclusions are a bit disparate. So there are a few studies, like for instance, coming from the Swiss registry or the Italian registry, showing that being treated against not being treated, it's a protective factor against PIRA, or being treated with fingolimod is a protective factor against being treated with interferon or glatiramer acetate with regards to reaching PIRA. But there are other studies coming from different sources that seem to indicate that PIRA is a very resistant outcome, and being treated or not, or the time treated, or how early are you treated, doesn't seem to impact that very much. We published this year a study showing that Carmen Turi is the first author, Martin Torre the leading author, in which we show that PIRA occurs early in the disease, and we have been analyzing this data, mainly the two authors that I've just indicated, and what we found is that there might be a small effect when we are using high-efficacy therapies. But overall, I would say we should still be cautious with regards to saying that the available drugs are effective or not effective against this PIRA outcome. I think for sure more studies will come, particularly focusing on this outcome and using this outcome as a primary measure of results. So I think Overall, mixed results, but for the time being, most of them indicate a lack of effect or just a modest effect with high-efficacy therapies on PIRA, but more studies are needed.